This is the plaintiff, David Backrack. He says he runs a baked goods delivery business. He sold the defendant a large amount of bread, and the guy's loafing around about paying him. He doesn't work for free. He's tired of getting the runaround, and his do-re-mi in the amount of $82.30. That's why he's suing. This is the defendant, Johnny Special. He says he makes award-winning rustic Italian sandwiches, and the bread the plaintiff delivered didn't cut the mustard with his customers. The loaves were smaller than normal, the brownies he received were cracked, and he owes nothing because the goods were useless to him. He's accused of being crusty about paying a bill.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Backrack, you are the owner of Bastion Deliveries. What kind of business is that?
It's a distributorship business for a bakery called Anthony & Sons, and we distribute to school districts, hospitals, and restaurants.
Okay, and how long have you been in that business?
January of 2020.
Oh, okay. Now, Mr. Speciali, you have a business called what?
That's a Pizza More's Italian Kitchen, man.
Okay. How long have you been in business?
I've been in business for 25 years, but this location was 2 years.
All right. So, Mr. Backrack, tell me what happened here.
So I received from the bakery a new customer sheet for Pizza More, and I contacted Mr. Speciali and informed him that every 2 weeks that we collect. It just so happened that COVID-19 shut everything down, and we usually would collect in person, but we had to come up with a new way of collecting, so we used Venmo and Zelle. And he stated he was going to set up Venmo and gave me a runaround for months, stating that he didn't know how to set it up. He was going to get a girlfriend to help him set it up. He was going to get one of his children to help him set it up. There was always an excuse. And when I started to look up if he had a Venmo account, I saw that he's been using Venmo since 2018. So he knew how to use it. He was just stalling on paying me.
Did you receive any complaints from Mr. Speciali, Mr. Backrack?
Well, he complained somewhere around April 30th that he started to mention that the rolls were too small. So I explained to him I would go back to the bakery general manager and bring it to their attention. And obviously, if you're not happy with any of our products, you could return it for a credit, which he never returned any item that he complained about. We simply deliver the bread. We don't have anything to do with the baking of it. It's on a loading dock for my drivers to put onto the vehicle and deliver to the customers. That's the extent that we're involved as far as a distributor.
Mr. Speciali, what was your complaint about the bread?
Okay, the complaint about the bread was this rustic roll was supposed to be consistent with my product, that I'm award-winning meatballs and my sandwiches that was working fine with. They started coming smaller. I did make my complaint, and I never deducted anything to David Baskin. I always said, would you come down and see me to talk, and we could go over this together, and I never reneged on paying my bill. So on top of that...
Tell me about the award-winning meatball sandwiches.
Okay, I had a contest, and I won with Cento products, and I won a meatball contest, and my sandwiches were very good. I couldn't stuff 4 meatballs in his bread anymore. It was getting smaller and smaller, and my customers were complaining. Plain and simple on that. That's the fact.
It wasn't getting smaller and smaller.
Well, that was his complaint, wasn't it?
At that time, but he continued to
when did you win that? That was when, in 2019?
Yes, 2019.
How long had you been ordering bread from that same bakery, Mr. Speciali?
Over 5 years. That rustic roll is a great loaf of bread.
So you complain, you mention it. It's in April is the first time he mentions it, but he continues to order from you, right, Mr. Backrack?
That's correct. And I don't want you to be under the impression, Your Honor, that the bread was getting smaller and smaller as time went on. It was an occasional thing. But once again, he never returned anything because he didn't like the size of the bread. He was free. I said, you'll get a credit, simply return the products. Not one piece of bread was ever returned. So
that's kind of a hard thing to do when you have to make a bunch of sandwiches and you have to sell the sandwiches. Or you're going to sit there and pick through the small breads and then sell fewer sandwiches. You just want the problem solved. But then what happens? Because it's not just in April that he complains about it, right? Isn't there another time that he complains?
Well, first of all, Your Honor, it's the same bakery that he's been ordering all these years. It's the same product he's been getting all these years.
But it's not the same product, Mr. Backrack. I don't know why you're chuckling. It's not the same product. That's what he's complaining about, is that he knows the bread, he knows the size, and it's been 6 years, and he's been ordering it from it, and that's why he's complaining. I guess what you're saying is, oh, it's not really smaller, even though they're all handmade, and so they're all going to be different.
No.
What you're saying is he's just trying to weasel out of paying because he's always been a problem paying. So it's not really that they're smaller. He's just coming up with that as an excuse for why he's always late on paying. I guess that's what you're saying. Now, you, Mr. Speciale, you end up sending him a text where you say, the bread you sent me looks like hot dog buns. And he says, please send me a picture so I can check with my driver and we'll get back to you ASAP. And this is your hand holding a picture of the bread, correct?
Correct, yes.
And is that particularly smaller than it's supposed to be?
Yes.
No, that's a large piece of bread. If it's slightly smaller, that's not a hot dog roll. I'm sorry. And you can get 4 meatballs into that loaf of bread.
No, it looks pretty big to me. Now, Mr. Speciale, you provided into evidence this picture. When was this taken?
Like a week or 2 weeks before this case came up. That loaf of bread next to the one that's there is my new bakery that makes the same roll as a rustic roll in the faction so I could fit my product in there. His roll breaks open. I ordered from Anthony and Sons, so I don't use that roll anymore because it just does not fit my my 4 meatballs in there. I don't know why Mr. Baskin says it would, but it doesn't. And my sandwiches.
Okay, but I got to tell you, like if I had to pick which of those 2 breads I wanted to eat, I would probably pick the one on the right because it looks yummier. But anyway, that's your business and not mine. But let me ask you guys a question, though. We're talking about $82.30, which I find utterly fascinating. How much did you pay Mr. Backrack in order to file this case for $82.30? What were your court costs?
My court costs were $160 plus a serving fee of another $42. And the reason for that is the way that this man spoke to me when I went in. I walked into the front counter. And he was in the kitchen. I said, Johnny, I'm here to collect for the bread bill you owe me. And right, first thing out of his mouth is, get out of my store, I'm not paying you for your product. Okay.
Oh, come on. I didn't say that. This is not true.
It is true. And, I was just shocked by the behavior and refused to absolutely pay. He says, I don't pay for bad product. And then he comes out and starts to get in my face. And I said, listen, you were a problem from day one. And this must be a complete scam that you pull with all the bread businesses in the area because you do this down to a science. And I said, I'll see you in court. And I left. And he says, I don't care. Take me to court. And I went right over to the Carlstadt police station and filed my complaint. While I was in there filing my complaint, he's texting me, which you have a copy of, that your bread sucks and your brownie sucks too. So all he did was complain about
What was the complaint about the brownies?
They were cracked.
Okay, how so?
Judge, they were cracked. I mean, listen, Mr. Baskin comes off as a nice man with a suit on. He came in my shop, and he banged on the counter while I was in the back rolling my dough and says, are you going to pay your bill? That's the truth. And then I said, you better get out of here, you maggot. Okay, you little maggot. That's what I called him. And I'm not going to go any further. I said, your bread sucks. You should have credited me. I left it on the bench outside, and you never picked it up through one of our conversations. He wants to come off like a big sharpshooter here, but I tell you what, he came in derogatory. I was upset about the bread. It was compromising my sandwiches, and customers were starting to walk away from me. And I paid him his bill every time. Maybe it was a little late, but he got paid. And I was very hesitant to pay because of all the product that I was getting that wasn't right. I had to eat up on my end, giving a customer a free sandwich, always trying to tell people it's going to be better, it's going to get better. And I gave him a chance many times to get that bread right, because that bread was good bread. And that bread you see in that photo, Your Honor, was a great roll. But when you opened up some of that you got, it would break open and the meatball would fall on someone's lap. That's the truth. I didn't yell at him and call him I called him a little maggot. That's what I did. And I apologize to you in the court right now.
Okay. If you are complaining in April and you complain again thereafter, why do you keep ordering the bread? And if you are not returning the product, why shouldn't you have to pay this final bill? And why isn't your remedy just saying you're fired and then moving on to another bread company? But why do you get to use the bread and not pay for it?
Because I tell you what I did with the bread, Your Honor. It became breadcrumbs, okay? And I did not renege on paying. I told him the last order that you sent me, I'm done. He told me he's done. I was done. I already have another bakery. They make my roll.
I know. But here's my question then. Why didn't you just finish paying this off? You didn't, so that's why we're in court.
Okay, and I agree with you. That's why we are in court.
Right.
Well, he was supposed to pick it up. I left it out on the bench for him to pick it up. I spoke to him. I said, I'm not buying this product from you no more. He's, really, you know what?
Do you have any proof of that?
It was a phone call. You know we spoke, David. Come on.
That's a lie.
I was very bad with you.
Did you take any pictures of the stuff that you put out on the bench or anything?
No. I left it out there. No, I did not want the product.
Do you have any witnesses to?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Who is the witness?
A valuable customer that his name is Glenn.
Okay, Glenn, you have a last name you want to give us?
DiGirolamo.
Okay, Douglas, can you please swear him in?
Absolutely. Can I get you to raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Your Honor.
Okay, so talk to me and tell me your complaints, Mr. DiGirolamo.
It's DiGirolamo. Judge, I have a roll here. I just happen to have a roll here that I got out of the freezer before. That these rolls were so good back then that John gave me 10 of them, or a dozen, I forget what it was. And I've been going through them, but I still have this roll. I just took it out of the freezer this morning. This is the roll.
That doesn't look like the handmade one, is it?
That doesn't
look the same.
It is.
Can you take your fingers off the ends?
He's always used. I'm sorry?
Take the fingers off the ends. Take your fingers off the ends for me to see the ends. Yeah. Maybe.
It's not a roll.
They're rounded.
Roll's a roll. So go on.
Now, this croissant is basically the same shape as the new roll. That's the difference. How can you get so many meatballs in here?
Dude, do me a favor. Don't try to be an expert witness. Just tell me about your experience over there. Don't show me breads. The better evidence is the pictures of the breads taken back then. What I want to know right now is, how was your meatball sandwich? How was it different, and why was it a problem?
The old roll was easy to eat, everything held inside. The new roll, it was like brittle. It broke apart. It was too thin, I guess, and too crusty. It wasn't bready enough for this meatball sandwich. This is more of a hoagie roll, and that's more of an artisan type of kind of like a turkey sandwich roll or something. I don't know, but it's not for meatballs, that's for sure, because like I said, I'm the one who complained the first time.
All right. Guys,
Your Honor, can I?
No, everybody just stop talking. No. Guys, seriously, I have given you way more of my time than any of you deserve. This was really all about personalities. It's fine. I got to be here anyway. I have to imagine all of you are losing money, not doing your real jobs. But here's how it shakes down, Mr. Speciale. At the end of the day, it's a contracts case. You buy a product, you take it, you accept it, you use it, you have to pay for it. And when I see an order on 7-Eleven, which is well after the complaints, it looks to me like you did, in fact, use the product. If you use the product and you can't prove you returned the product, because you can't. You can't prove it through text, you can't prove it through pictures, you can't prove it through witnesses. If you didn't return it, then you have to pay for it. Okay, so I'm finding in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $82.30 because you have to pay your bill. That is not an indictment of whether or not, that is not a decision that the bread was to par. Clearly the bread was not to par for you, and you're the meatball expert. So, you made a decision, you hired another bakery, bully for you. Maybe someday I'll get to taste your meatball sandwiches, your award-winning meatball sandwiches.
love that.
But you gotta pay the bill. Verdict for the plaintiff, $82.30, and of course your court costs. Goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
So the plaintiff is finally going to get his $82 from Mr. Special, the defendant. Let's talk to him first. Mr. Special, how do you feel about the judge's decision?
Listen, I never reneged on not paying for my product. It is what it is, and we love the judge, and the judge has the right to say what she wants. But I tell you what, I changed bakery now, and the product I'm selling 100 times more meatball sandwiches than ever. Thank you.
Really? Okay. A quick question. What makes your meatballs so special that it's an award-winning? What is it about it?
Right here, my friend. My grandma taught me everything I know.
All right. You're keeping the ingredients secret, right? Fair enough.
That's right.
All right. Well, listen, good luck to you, okay? All right, Mr.
Thank you.
Backrack, how do you feel now? You took the time to file a lawsuit in court over $82, which the judge found very amusing. You feel vindicated now?
Yes, I do. It wasn't about the money. It's the way that this man handled business. And I've, for 32 years, been a successful businessman in corporate insurance. And I would never go in and speak to him the way he stated. He used the product, and you have to pay for it. And it's as simple as that.
Well, very good. All right. Congratulations to you. Good for you.
Thank you.
All right, Harvey, what do you think about this case?
Doug, this is an interesting case because I think a lot of this could have been avoided if they would have been a little more civil to each other. You can't sue somebody because they were simply rude to you in a transaction. The transaction is the transaction. If you owe money, you owe money. You can't say I don't owe money because somebody was rude to me. We have seen this for years and years in the People's Court. It never works. Just because somebody is rude means you don't go out to dinner with them, but you have to pay the dough they're owed.
The question is, our favorite date as a couple.
I wonder if we will agree on this. I would have to say the night that we went to the Versace mansion on Miami Beach, and we ended up spending the night with...
Oh, the fundraiser for cochlear implants.
Yes,
it was a big
fundraiser, and we ended up spending the night with Mike Piazza.
He was at our table.
And Lucy Billett.
And Lucy Billett, who's the wife of the creator of People's Court, because she came down for it because she had just read about the Versace murder, and she was really interested in seeing the mansion.
And between the two of them, the energy. I mean, Piazza turned out to be, the first time I met the guy, he's funny, he's interesting, he's smart. We went
up. He was staying at the mansion in Versace's room, and which has a big balcony out. And we went up there and had drinks. That was a great night.
The night just went by.
Yeah, that was fun.
And
that was
so.
And especially we were in the throes of raising kids at that point, so it was so different than our regular lives, which were so boring.
It was, but the ideal date. I mean, obviously, the ideal date for the two of us would be something, romantic and special, like maybe a Civil War battlefield tour.
Yeah, step back, ladies. He's mine.